Hello again. If you're just joining us, I am Tristan Tchaikovsky of TZLongsword, and I'm with Cory Winslow here visiting from MEMAG. We are talking about HEMA.
I think the direction that HEMA needs to take in the future is that people need to preserve the historical part of historical European martial arts. Mm-hmm. They need to continue to practice the history involved, the plays exactly in the way that they were recorded. Mm-hmm. But I think that people need to re-examine or examine in the first place the context for which they're studying historical European martial arts. If they want to get better with the longsword, they need to not just limit themselves to the texts in the way that they're presented, but actually innovate and figure out how they fight best. Mm-hmm. So use multiple sources, not just a single source.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose this also includes not staying constrained to only fighting another longswordist.
Oh, yes.
As well.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the context of early KDF is so limited. I mean, it seems mostly limited just to a judicial duel of the Holy Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. I think it's very important, depending on the context that you want to learn how to fight against multiple opponents, multiple weapons. Mm-hmm. Those are things not usually...
Fighting with the sword still in the scabbard.
Right, yeah. How to draw your sword, how to, those are things not usually addressed. Mm-hmm. And if you want to learn all of those various things, you have to go through a lot of different sources, not just limiting yourself to a single one.
Mm-hmm. I would totally agree. I don't know even that I have anything significantly different to add to that. I know this is definitely a direction that I'm looking into is the, right now I'm working on building a scabbard so I can explore things from the draw or, the more, alleyway assault sort of situations rather than, as you keep mentioning, right, the judicial combat where here I am with a longsword. Here you are with a longsword. This was a predetermined, time of the day. We both know what's up. And now we'll start the fight. With one another's kind of foreknowledge.
I want to add one thing to that.
Sure.
They actually, at least earlier on in the Holy Roman Empire, went to such lengths to make both combatants in a judicial duel on equal ground that it had to happen at high noon because the sun is directly over both people and not in either person's eyes. So that's another part of the context we've just never thought of before.
No. I mean, I've gone to a few outdoor events, and that's always been a fun thing to navigate is working with the sun, or as Obi-Wan puts it, always having the high ground. I shouldn't have even brought up those movies, but that does add another element. We've talked about. We in the community have talked about different things like fighting on cobblestones as opposed to fighting in a fencing hall, where it's very stable, very even. Fighting on sand. I know when I visited the Netherlands, I was actually shown a place where judicial combats happened. It was called, in Dutch, of course, it was called the sand because they would just cover it up with sand, and that's where people would fight. But I think we come to this martial sport, I'm going to say specifically right now, with so many assumptions and so many artifacts that our hands are kind of bound in a sense, and certainly that's something I'd like to free myself from and eventually also bring students along with me as I become more adept at expanding my own knowledge sets and skill sets. So.
I don't think you can do that unless you break free of something Mike Edelson was talking about with me. People have these camps that they get into, the Lichtenauer camp, the Fiore camp, the Meyer camp. That's you're only seeing part of the picture if you do something like that. And it goes back
That's interesting coming from Mike now, but this is a recent development.
Right, it is. And it's something we were talking about earlier, top down, bottom up approach. There are benefits to both, but if you limit yourself, you can't see the big picture. And you won't get context like self-defense. You'll be stuck in a certain context. And it's just, if that's not what you want, you need to, go beyond your comfort zone and branch out into different things.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to both of us on our YouTube channels. And if you really like what you see, please feel free to join us on our Patreon accounts as well. Until next time.